Hello everyone, this is my 2008 Yamaha Raider S and I'm going to be doing the oil change. Now I've seen some videos on YouTube, so I'm going to do my own video for you all. Hopefully it's informational. Yeah, I don't have a motorcycle jack, but this is how I do it normally. And you don't really have to pick it up. You're able to do it on the ground. I just do it for a little bit more clearance on the removal of the drain bolts. So I got my oils here. I'm going to be changing out the oil filter as well. So it calls for 5.18 US quarts with the oil filter cartridge replacement. And so one of the questions I had for you all was whether or not it was the 303 or the 204 on the K&N filter. But it's the 303 for the for my 2008. I believe the 2012 and up, it was asking for the 204, and then the OEM, the Yamaha filter, as you can see on the 08, is still bigger than the 204, which is about the same size as the K&N 303. So that's what I'll be using. And then I got the gear oil, because I'll be replacing that as well. And the transfer gear oil, SAE80 API GL4 high point gear oil. It says 0.55 liters or 0.58 US quarts, and this is what they gave me. It's a Kawasaki gear oil, but that's what I'm going to use. It's the correct weight, and it's GL5 and GL4, so that'll work. So we'll see how this goes. There's 3 drain bolts on the Raider. There's 2 on the left hand side underneath the engine, and then there's 1 back here underneath in front of the rear tire. So I'll show you guys those here in a bit. And it's gonna be the 17 millimeter. Now, as you can see, I had mine shaved down a little bit with the grinder, and that's to be able to fit it on that front bolt, because it seems like that's the one we have the most problems removing. So let's see how this goes. As you can see, this is the front drain bolt. This is going to be the middle one, and then the other one somewhere under there. So we'll get to that one in a bit. As you can see, it's not that difficult to remove it. You just gotta take your time. It's really tight up in there. You can't really get a socket in there or a regular wrench. That's why I had mine shaved down a little bit to kind of make it fit in there. And when you go to put them back on, start them by hand. I've heard a lot of people strip this front bolt for the same reason. So it doesn't take much to tighten it back up. I just did the middle bolt, the middle drain bolt. So now I'm just letting it finish draining, and then we'll move to the back one. I always do them one at a time, take my time on it. As you can see, I don't spill any oil on the ground. You just gotta take your time, that's all. So now we're gonna move to the back drain bolt. As you can see under here, Let's see, where are you? It's right here. It's gonna be this one, right next to the rear suspension or shock. This is your rear drain bolt and final one. After I drain this one, will go to the oil filter before we start filling her up. So for the rear drain bolt, we're just going to use a 17mm socket. 17mm. I'm going to use a small extension with the ratchet to get that back bolt out, or drain bolt. And we should be just about done. Then we'll move to the oil filter. So we're all done draining the oils. Like I say, if you can, start it by hand. Don't get in a hurry, because you can strip these really easy. Always start it by hand. Alright, last thing to go is the oil filter. You can actually do it any which way. You can start with that, the drain bowls, or the drain bowls and this. I just leave it for last. And it's gonna take the same 17mm to remove. $17mm wrench will take this off. We're gonna go ahead and fill up the oil filter with some oil before we put it back on. Alright, so we put some oil in here. Don't know if it's necessary to fill it up. We might spill some while installing it on the bike, but it's done. So now all we're gonna do is take a little bit of this same oil and just put some all around on the gasket. I guess that kind of helps when we're installing it, or so we don't damage it when we tighten it up. Alright, so we're all set, getting ready to put the filter back on, the new one. So I'm not going to over tighten it. I'm just going to give it a little bit with the wrench, because I know it don't take that much and we don't want to damage the gasket. So there it is. Time to put some fresh oil. We already tightened down the bolts, the drain bolts, front, middle and back. Filters on, ready to go. Okay, so after putting in all the oil and doing a final check here. One more thing, once you're starting to fill it up with oil, the manual says to put 2.5 quarts and then put the cap back on, or the dipstick, and then turn your bike on and rev it a few times, because if you don't, I put 3 quarts and it came up to the top. Luckily it didn't spill, but that's the purpose for putting in 2.5 quarts first and then turning your engine on to get it to circulate, and then top it off with whatever else is needed, and that way the engine's full and the oil tank is full. It's right there, and that's pretty much it on changing the oil on the Raider. Alright, hope you all found this video informative, and that'll conclude this oil change on the Raider. Thank you.